In today's news, government announces that only uniformed emergency essential workers will be allowed to shop in store.
2 young men charged for breaking curfew. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Welcome, viewers. It's a Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
And I am Javon Wilson. So happy to be halfway through the week, of course, with another great edition of 284 News.
Yeah, I was just saying today that I feel that today, this week is actually going pretty fast. I don't know if anyone feels the same way, but it is Wednesday already.
I think a lot of persons can't even put their hands on which day it is anymore.
True.
I know we're just getting up and doing what we have to do.
I agree. But yet another beautiful day in the British Virgin Islands, and we have a lot in the newscast to discuss. But Javon, before we get into it, we just want to put an announcement out there that fisher folks are actually they're authorized to fish and deliver fish to customers. Now, this is just commercial fisher folks, and they must be granted permission from the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries. They are permitted between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. to deliver and to fish. And we do want to remind persons that you at all times to practice safety precautions and social distancing. But I know for a lot of persons, they are very happy that their local fishermen are able to fish and to deliver fish, because that's one thing I think people are craving while we're on lockdown.
Not just craving, I mean, for persons like me, pescatarians, this is what we depend on. So really happy, and I know within the supermarkets, there's a limited variety available as we speak. So persons really welcome the opportunity. I know once we put this out today, the post ran viral because a lot of persons are seemingly very, very interested in getting a good batch of fresh fish. But Kyla, not only that, just recently the Premier also announcing that the government of the Virgin Islands is already in talks with the OECS and the CARICOM countries within the region, because the government is actually looking into the possibility of exporting fish.
Nice.
I know most recently just about $2 million was injected into the agriculture and fisheries industry by Honorable Natalia Whitley, and I know that's a welcomed approach because for years, as we all know, the fishing and the agricultural industry has sustained the BVI for so many years in the past. Admittedly so, the sector has been neglected for quite a number of years, but we see here a great opportunity not only to feed our own people, but a viable industry if we are to be able to export to the rest of the region.
I do agree. That is great news to be able to export some sort of fish out of the territory. So that is great news, Javon. But let's just jump right into it.
All right, viewers, the following list of grocery stores are now allowed to serve the approved groups of uniformed emergency essential workers with government-issued IDs from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. starting today, Wednesday, April 22nd. Now, all other essential workers are to access grocery stores through online and delivery services. The approved list of uniformed emergency essential workers includes, get this, Health Services Authority, Police, Fire, Electricity, Water and Sewage, Customs, Immigration, Her Majesty's Prison, Waste Management, Ports Authority, Airport Authority, the Adina Donovan Home, Safe Haven Transitional Center, Rainbow Children's Home and Special Services Center, and the Department of Information and Public Relations. Now, Kyla, just yesterday we reported on this after receiving reports that some persons were out and allowed to get into supermarkets, of course, essential workers. And of course, a lot of persons were questioning why is this only allowed for certain essential workers. Now, just before we get into that, the approved grocery stores for shopping on Tortola are Right Way Food Market, that is the Passe location, One Mart Supermarket, and Bobby's Supermarket. Now, for Virgin Gorda, the approved locations are Right Way Food Market, Bucks Food Market, and Rosie's Supermarket. So yes, again, Kyla, while this may be welcome news for those in uniform, food is definitely a concern shared by every essential worker at the forefront, not just those in uniform. And while we cannot please everyone in these times, and I understand that the government is trying their best to do what they can in these unprecedented times, some residents have said that it comes across somewhat as a bias when it, what goes for one does not go for all. Persons are asking, why not have a staggered approach to shopping for all essential workers? The goal here, Kyla, again, like we said yesterday, the goal here is to ease the burden because as we speak, a lot of persons across the territory have not been able to access food. We've heard reports and seen persons taken to social media to rant and to really speak out and say, listen, I have made an order 2, 3, 4 days ago and yet to receive my order via these online services through the supermarkets, as well as even with the government services. So clearly there has been, all of this has been heavily backed up, but also in allowing essential workers, persons who still have a job and again who can afford to buy, we will be easing the burden for them.
Demand.
Yes, you're easing the burden on the government because persons are now resorting to the government for a care package because they're ordering from the supermarket and it's taking way too long to get to them. So by looking at it holistically, I think we can reach the persons fast and ensure that who can afford to get in and shop as fast and safe as they can.
I do agree, Javon, but I think this approach, I think the government is still trying to follow some sort of social distancing protocol, and I think that's why they're, I guess, easing up and letting maybe uniform essential workers firstly in the first instance, because yes, although I do understand where persons are saying why not all essential workers, but then that I think that would turn into why not all somebody else, and why not seniors, and I think the list can extend up to countlessly, because as I covered earlier this week, it is a matter of food security. And when it comes to food security, and you spoke about it just now, when it comes to food security, a lot of persons are worried. Persons have placed orders, as you have rightfully said, and have not been able to get those groceries. So it's a problem for everyone. So I think the government is still trying to find a balance and allowing persons who are working regularly to still be able to access to supermarkets.
Fair enough, and I fully agree with that. But again, it's just a matter of fairness. We want to ensure that whatever rules apply across the board.
I understand completely, Javon. Viewers, so 2 young men were sentenced for violating the curfew during the sitting of the magistrate court. So these young men were actually charged via video conferencing on April 20th. Dikembe Parsons saw charges for burglary of a business on Chalwell Street and a violation of the curfew being laid against him, and pleaded not guilty to burglary charges and guilty to violating the curfew. He was sentenced to 2 months imprisonment for violating the curfew and was offered $25,000 in bail for the burglary charge, which cannot be received until his sentence for curfew violation has concluded. Now we have Nikolai Bratwit pleading guilty to violation of the curfew and was sentenced to 2 months imprisonment at Her Majesty's Prison. It is alleged that Bratwit went to Main Street where he met a friend and smoked get this, marijuana. He revealed that he left home to purchase marijuana despite fully knowing that the curfew was in place. Now, prosecutor Simpson said there is a maximum sentence for the offense of violating the curfew, and that is $1,000 or up to 3 months imprisonment or both. The Office of Director of Public Prosecution continues to work with the magistrates and the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force in a swift execution of matters concerning the violation of curfew provisions that were put in place by the government to keep the citizens of this territory safe during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Javon, here we see a story where persons are being charged for actually violating curfew early up in the lockdown. We see where our Royal Virgin Islands Police Force are on the move, and here we see it.
Definitely. I know this one comes with mixed reviews. A lot of persons have, especially the last case with Miss Nikolai Brathwaite, the young man who would have left his home to, admitted to leaving his home to purchase and smoke marijuana. A lot of concerns coming forward. One of the things persons have said is, in light of the COVID-19 coronavirus phase and the stress induced by all that is happening, why sentence him to custodial time? Why not like other persons who were arrested for breaking the curfew? In the past, we've seen persons arrested and basically let go because we never know. I guess it doesn't go across the board for everyone. But these are some of the concerns. I think in this case, though, what is justifiable is the fact that this man committed 2 offenses. Not only did he break the curfew, but he also admitted to purchasing marijuana, an item that is considered illegal at this point in time. I know another viewer also posted saying that, why are we placing such heavy sentences on our young men when the Minister of Education is about to table a marijuana legislation, a marijuana bill
or medical marijuana,
medical marijuana bill, which will come with other measures, relaxed measures for marijuana. So it requires a holistic look, but I think what our magistrate is doing in this instance is setting a precedence. It is illegal to break the curfew. We cannot allow people or persons to slip through the loophole. Even if that was done in the past, it is about time that everybody respects the curfew because COVID-19 respects no one.
Yes, I do agree. Like you said, some persons might see this as a strict sentencing, but as we see, the 2 individuals were suspected of other crimes because the other young man was suspected of burglary. So yes, we might think this is a strict sentencing, but as you said, COVID-19 does not does not discriminate, and breaking curfew, it is against the law. So here we see it. So viewers, still ahead, virtual healthcare to provide using AirMad app. Hear all about it when 284 News returns.
Some claim that the age of a true gentleman is far behind us, but here at 284 Media, we disagree. He may appear in different guises today, but the values and ideals that make him a gent still stand. 284 Media proudly presents its newest talk show, The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, with yours truly, Ron Grant. A show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. Don't worry, it's not all about suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons that translate to grounded, community-minded, well-rounded men. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman, a 284 Media production.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, coming out of GIS, the BVI Health Services Authority has launched an Armid phone application to allow patients to receive virtual health care in response to COVID-19. Now, Deputy Premier and Minister for Health and Social Development, Honorable Carvin Malone, stated on April 15th that the AirMed application will allow patients who are diagnosed, suspected, or on quarantine to be able to communicate with the physician conducting their care and also track their symptoms of COVID-19 via an Android or iPhone. AirMed will also allow for follow-up appointments and video consultations for patients to access healthcare from the comforts of their home. This initiative is being done in partnership with the United Kingdom-based company TPP, which has also provided other healthcare technology support, such as an electronic patient recorder, which is also known as an EPR system, through the COVID-19 response service in the territory. The COVID-19 response service also allows patients to call and access free medical advice for COVID-19 guidance and allows BVI Health Services Authority clinical teams to record patients' symptoms and conditions, provides advice through tracking tools, and also informs the patients seeking care. Now, Chief Executive Officer of the BVI Health Services Authority, Dr. Ronald George, has said that the BVI Health Services Authority, IT, and CHS team have worked tirelessly on the implementation process, which will soon expand to provide a variety or a range of telemedicine services to better serve the community while promoting health and wellness. These new technologies will also allow for patients who need more care for testing for COVID-19 and also will ensure that those who can manage their condition on their own do not access medical services. TPP, again, is a software company that has worked across the UK National Health Insurance NHS for 22 years. The company has written the software System 1 used in over 7,000 NHS organizations by over 250,000 NHS staff members with over 50 million patient records stored on the database. So Kyla, we see here the British Virgin Islands finally being able to utilize a digital app that was already in motion in the United Kingdom to now track and manage persons locally who would have tested positive for COVID-19. And this is the direction we've seen persons across the world heading towards. If we were to examine all the bigger countries, the larger nations, the fact is the more we limit our human-to-human interaction, the less likely it is for the virus to spread. And, you know, we've seen so many stories, especially in the United Kingdom, with about 1/3 of the health officials who were tested, about 1/3 of them being tested positive for COVID-19. And of course, that can be attributed to the fact that they're in the face of it, dealing with it on a daily basis. So now with this virtual healthcare system that we're seeing, we'll now be able to track, to monitor those symptoms and to treat our patients. A lot of us, including our health professionals who are at risk, can now be relieved that, you know, they won't be coming into full contact per se with that person. And even beyond COVID-19, I think mobile apps like these, technology, telemedicine, which we've seen a lot of even medical practices locally embracing, all of these measures that we are now embracing can work to our benefit beyond COVID-19. And, you know, we look around and we see so many great things coming out of this crisis. And I think this is another great idea for sure that we can utilize going even beyond COVID-19.
Javon, I definitely agree. As you're reading this story, all I can think about is innovation, innovation,
Yes.
innovation. Yes, this was an app that was used in the UK, but here we see in the BVI, we're stepping up to the plate and we are finding innovative ways to serve patients, to serve customers, and it's really refreshing to see us just be innovative and step into a new way of living. As you said, it might be hard for some people to really comprehend, but at the end of the day, some good things are actually coming out of this crisis.
Definitely, Kyla. One of the things, the key things I really like that it will assist with is the fact that at this point, we do not want persons who are sick to head to the hospital. It is very strict. You must call the medical hotline. So this is definitely one of the ways to help us to manage even that situation. And again, to protect our health professionals from coming into direct contact with the virus. Viewers, still ahead, Missouri is suing the Chinese government for the cause of coronavirus. And also, Georgia is now rushing to reopen on Friday. This is causing a lot of controversy, of course, in America. These and so much more when we return.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There's the answer code.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Yes, just before the break, you heard correctly. Missouri is suing the Chinese government and other top institutions for the role they played in the coronavirus pandemic and the effects it has had on the state, accusing the country of covering up information, silencing whistleblowers, and doing little to stop the spread of the disease. This was announced by Missouri's Attorney General Eric Schmidt. At least 6,105 persons have been confirmed to have the virus in Missouri, and at least 229 have died. The lawsuit, the first of its kind, claims Chinese authorities deceived the public, suppressed crucial information, arrest whistleblowers, denied human-to-human transmission in the face of mounting evidence, destroyed critical medical research, permitted millions of persons to be exposed to the virus, and even hurt personal protective equipment, thus causing the global pandemic that was necessary and preventable. Now, viewers, that was a mouthful of allegations. Missouri's lawsuit alleges that while the Chinese medical community had indications of human-to-human transmission of the virus, they did not inform the World Health Organization when they first reported the outbreak. It was also alleged Chinese leaders did little to curb the spread of the virus, still allowing thousands of people to travel to and from Wuhan. Allegedly, those listed among other actions taken by the Chinese officials had a mass toll on human life and health and has led to enormous economic disruptions across the world, according to the lawsuit. Now, Javon, in this suit, there is a long list of allegations, but legal experts have said that the lawsuit faced an uphill battle because China is protected by sovereign immunity. Legal experts have also questioned the move and how far it will get. The legal doctrine called sovereign immunity offers foreign governments border protection from being sued in U.S. courts. Javon, this is definitely an interesting one. I think although much persons have thought about it, the fact that we are actually seeing legal actions being taken against China, it's mind-blowing to me.
It's definitely mind-blowing, but the big question is, how far can this go? I know this is adding to a long list of allegations and also a long list of blame. At this point, every country, especially those who are grappling with the unfortunate effects of COVID-19.
And that's everyone, I'm sure.
Definitely. And so a lot of countries are looking to someone to blame. They're looking for someone to blame. I know earlier on we heard President Trump labeling it as the Chinese virus, which a lot of persons have denounced and said it's racist, and he cannot do that. Even the World Health Organization spoke out against this. But the reality is this: from the onset, China did try to deny it. They tried to keep it behind closed doors. We heard stories. Right, we've heard stories about the whistleblower's doctor, being apprehended and arrested and charged and eventually dying. So again, we do not know what the origin is at this point.
Right.
We've heard so many allegations about it coming from a bat. We've heard that it was conspired in a lab. We've heard that
We've heard
America,
a lot
the
of
U.S.
things.
Army took it to China. We've also heard that China brought it on to the rest of the world. So many allegations to go around. I'm not even sure how much is going to come out of this, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Exactly, but Javon, as you said, I don't know what will come out of this, because at the end of the day, if this lawsuit is successful in court, I think the whole world, if we really look at it, can blame China or whoever, because as you said, it is a blame game at this point. So we will have to follow this story a little more and see how far it goes.
I think a good point to examine is the past pandemics we've had, and even though they happen every 100 years, they usually set a precedence. So it'll be interesting to research and see what the response was like at those periods in time, and possibly if there were lawsuits flying around those times as well. Viewers, we have to move along. Troubling headlines across America. Governors are now saying it's time to reopen for business, while health experts are downright terrified. Now, the state of Georgia, with roughly 800 COVID deaths, leading the way as it moves forward with plans to ease restrictions on many businesses, satisfying a yearning to return to normalcy and get back to business, while further risking the further spread of COVID-19. Now, today, America, with over 44,000 deaths, divided on Georgia's new decision to reopen as soon as this Friday, which, of course, as we know, is a matter of life and death. Now, Governor Kemp, a staunch ally of President Trump, on Monday announced that Georgia would allow nail salons, massage therapists, bowling alleys, and gyms to open on Friday. Also, in-person church services can resume. However, restaurants and movie theaters can open from Monday. His order also bars cities from imposing their own restrictions on businesses. Now, Kyla, we see this as one of the most aggressive moves yet to date to reopen the state's economy, even as Trump optimistically pushes for a May 1st reopening of the statewide lockdowns that we've been seeing across America. But all of this comes at a very troubling expense, and this is a struggle, Kyla, as we examine all the nations, all the countries across the world. The real struggle for leaders across the world is, when do we reopen? There's a resolute fact, viewers, in all of this. Put the people on lockdown, the economy freezes. We open up for business, and then we face a bigger health crisis, and of course put further strain on the limited medical resources that we have, not just here in the BVI, but across the world. What we've seen other jurisdictions as well doing, Kyla, countries like Sweden, they have refused to put the country on lockdown to support what they are calling a herd immunity, which is technically exposing the community to the virus to build their immunity among the population. Now, of course, this is very controversial. And when you think about, the elderly, it's very high risk for those persons, especially for those with pre-existing conditions. But this is a clear indication that leaders across the world are now adopting different measures. And I guess that is based in accordance to what they think will work for their various economies. Now, the problem with Georgia is this, however. As governor, Kyla, you're willing in the very first instance to reopen salons, barbershops, massage parlors, tattoo shops. How does one social distance in these situations? How? It's impossible, Kyla.
Javon, this is just, once again, mind-blowing to me. But as you said, I think we're seeing cities just take different approaches because as we have been saying over and over again, this is something new. This is something that this is not something that you can look in a textbook. It's not a textbook situation to see, okay, how do I get the economy to strive while we have a global pandemic? But as you said, this is a bold move by the state of Georgia. And the fact as well, I have seen reports of mayors actually telling residents to, although you have been given the all clear to go outside, they're still encouraging the residents in their respective cities within Georgia to stay inside because the pandemic is still very real.
Definitely, Kyla. And I'm glad you mentioned that because, even within those cities, leaders are bumping heads because the governor is saying, listen, we're going ahead, but the mayors are disagreeing with it.
Yeah.
We even see further allegations from Black Americans saying this is a direct assault
Attack.
against us because we are the ones in the massage parlors, we are the ones at the salons, and so on. And so, they feel like this is a direct
attack on the
Definitely.
African American
Definitely.
population. But as you said earlier the governor have placed an order where mayors within their cities cannot make any alternative precautions or anything like that. So I think at the end of the day, persons have to make that decision for themselves, hopefully to stay inside, but we'll just have to see what happens.
And Kyla, we see even a similar situation here in the British Virgin Islands. When we examine the labor code, it specifically defines what an essential business is or what an essential worker is. And here
Right.
we are ready to tweak that law. Well, just a few days ago, we were about to include hair salons
Right.
within our list of essential services. Well, critical businesses that the economy is depending on were to remain closed. So one day our labor code is being tweaked to include salons. Another day, only certain essential workers in uniform can access the grocery stores. So it's definitely a tug of war again between leaders in trying to stay home, a tug of war between staying home and, of course, getting back to normal business. But it's really troubling, and it's a clear indication also where our leaders' priorities lie.
Most definitely, Javon.
All right, viewers, that is it for today's news roundup. Be sure to like us on Facebook at 284 Media, as well as 284 BVI on Instagram, as well as Twitter. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. And also remember to visit our website at 284media.com for your daily updates. We'll see you again tomorrow as we deliver your daily dose of regional, local, and international content. 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news right here on 284 Media. Have a happy Wednesday, everybody.